Every step that you take towards the future leads to your inevitable destiny. In the DC universe, the superhero known as the Flash runs at incredible speeds towards his destiny, but it's not his inescapable death, no. For as we know, all speedsters eventually die, but they don't die in the natural sense. They merge with the Speed Force themselves. No, his destiny lies with his one true nemesis, someone whose history revolves solely around the Flash. Every Flash has this enemy. His name is Keemstar.
I'm fast as fuck, boy!
Now, jokes aside, the Reverse Flash has easily got to be one of the most interesting and unique villains of the DC landscape. His motivations to becoming a villain and sheer abilities alone make him a huge threat to the Justice League, if not the entire DC landscape. Now you may be asking yourself, am I talking about Reverse Flash, Professor Zoom, or Zoom? And my answer to that is yes. But if you want to get super technical, I'll be talking about Eobard Thawne, Hunter Zolomon, Daniel West, and briefly mention a few other Reverse Flashes here and there. Also, we'll be discussing their character powers and attempt to differentiate their characters from each other because, my god, this is confusing. I mean, come on. Eobard Thawne is known as Reverse Flash, Zoom, and Professor Zoom. And not to mention, you have two other villains called Zoom and Reverse Flash running around with the same name as other Reverse Flashes, confusing the landscape even more. And who had the genius idea to do this? Who? You. I'm looking at you right there. I see you. I see you still around the corner. You get your ass right. Eobard Thawne is the OG Flash. When people normally look up Reverse Flash, this is the result they get on Google. He's a character created by John Broome and Carmine Infantino and introduced in Flash number 139 as the scientist who was born in the 25th century, a time where the main roster of superheroes has been long since dead. Now his origin has been changed once or twice, unsurprising to no one, so we're gonna stick with his current origin rather than the origin given to us in Flash number 139. But first, a mood change. Eobard Thawne was once a scientist of the 25th century, obsessed with the Flash, going as far as changing his appearance to that of Barry Allen. He even replicated the same lightning experiment that gave Barry Allen his powers, which in turn gave Eobard Thawne his powers. He then acquired the Cosmic Treadmill through an antique shop. But wait, now you're telling me the Cosmic Treadmill, a device used for interdimensional and time travel, which is in an antique shop? Alright, nope, that's fine, dude, that's fine. Alright, yeah, you know what, screw the mood change, alright, just whatever. When Reverse Flash goes into the past to meet his idol, he ends up arriving a few years after Barry Allen's death, which drove him just a little crazy, because he, in the process also, he went to the Flash Museum, only to find out that he was destined to become the Reverse Flash and die at the hands of the Flash. That's heavy on anyone, dude, that's pretty fucked. Honestly, it gives him, it makes him a little bit more tragic, just like, holy fuck, just to find, like, you're obsessed with one guy, man, you idolize him, and you find out that you're just destined to become his one great nemesis. That's like, wow, that's taking Psycho to a whole nother fucking level, dude. His powers, much like all the other Flashes, derive from the Speed Force, but this time, it's in reverse. Get it, guys? Speed Force? Negative Speed Force? Oh my god, that's amazing! It's more or less the same as the regular Speed Force, but it has other abilities, which automatically makes it cooler because it's negative. The other Speed Force can't grant, such as Cosmic Awareness, the ability to cross dimensions, and time without consequences. He can also contaminate other speedsters with his negative Speed Force and temporarily cut off their connection, rendering them weak and useless. Much like the Wonder Twins. Now, on to Hunter Zolomon. So I need you guys to understand, if some of the stuff I say for this section sounds confusing, it's because Hunter Zolomon is, he's Star Wars prequel levels of confusing. Like, why, George Lucas? Why? Why is this called Jawa Juice? Why does Anakin have porn movie levels of acting?
I don't like sand.
And why does Anakin not having the high ground automatically make him lose?
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground!
Why, George Lucas? Just tell me why! Now, the best way to distinguish Zolomon and Thawne is to look at their costumes. No, not the costumes from the TV show, because those were made to clearly separate the two, but in the comic book, Solomon has this black eyewear while Thawne doesn't. Zoom was first introduced in Flash Secret Files and Origins number 3 and led a troubling life to say the least. His dad was a serial killer, and when his mother found out, he killed her, and the police later came and killed his father. Zolomon later became intrigued with the criminal mind after this event, where he later became an agent of the FBI along with his girlfriend Ashley, who he later married. They eventually divorced, and Zolomon was discharged from the FBI, but funnily enough, he still considered himself to be married. Now that's a real man right there, guys. Guys, take notes. Never leave the girl alone. It's not considered stalking if you really love her. Due to a case involving Ashley's father, he ended up with a crippled knee and became a profiler for the Division of Metahuman Hostilities, which put him in constant contact with the Flash, Wally West, which in turn allowed them to become good friends. Zolomon later became crippled by an attack on Iron Heights by Gorilla Grodd, leaving him paralyzed from the waist down. He later begged the Flash to travel back in time to help prevent this, but Flash declined as he knew it would damage the time stream. Zolomon, furious that the Flash would not help him, decided to burst into the Flash Museum and use the Cosmic Treadmill himself, but in turn caused an explosion which altered his own state of time. With these powers, he was able to change his own time frame to give himself the appearance as if he were running at super speeds. Yeah, that's a mindfuck right there. As I stated earlier, Zoom has the abilities of chronokinesis, which allows him to alter time relevant to himself rather than have an actual connection to the speed force like traditional speedsters. He also has superhuman reflexes because of his slow perception of time. With his powers now more developed, Zoom can now travel further through time, altering where things may be in order to give him an edge in any fight. He can also create shockwaves with snaps of his fingers, and he can give other beings powers similar to him, as he did to Inertia, I believe. Because I don't have the time to address all versions of the Flash, we're going to go through them in a speed round. Ready, set, go! First, we have the rival. He was the Reverse Flash of the Golden Age Flash, Jay Garrick. Next, we have Inertia, the clone of Bart Allen Thaddeus Thawne II, which became his Reverse Flash in turn. We also have the kid-friendly version of Reverse Flash, and we have the Abracadabra version of Reverse Flash, which is just him in the costume. It's not really, I guess, kind of is Reverse Flash, not really. Funny, I thought there was a lot more than just these. Well, speed round, I guess, whatever. Last on the list, we have the Reverse Flash that's least loved by the community, but has one of the most badass costumes out of all of them, Daniel West. His origin starts the day he was born. Very, 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 very sad. His mother died during childbirth, and his father never forgave him for it. His dad became an alcoholic in the process, and his sister Iris West protected Daniel every day until one day his father, in a drunken frenzy, angered Daniel, and as a result, Daniel pushed him down and crippled him for life. After this happened, Daniel ran away, becoming a low-time thug, with his first big score being thwarted by the Flash, and ended up in prison for 5 years. When he got out of prison, he tried mending his relationship with Iris, who still resented him for leaving her with her paraplegic drunkard father. While struggling to make it on his own, he was captured by guerrillas and rescued by the Rogues, who planned to rob those they saved anyway, because it's the Rogues. While trying to escape, he crashed into a monorail car with a Speed Force battery. He was later imbued with the abilities to move his body at speeds that can keep up with the Flash. His abilities allow him to absorb Speed Force energy and allow him to turn back time, while at the same time using the metallic shrapnel from the minecart containing the Speed Force battery, which in turn allow him to use it as armor as well as projectiles. He also has the power of chronokinesis like stated earlier and can magnetize other objects, hence the ability to fling the shrapnel attached to his body and can sense the Speed Force in others. His character overall is really nothing to write home about, it's mostly his costume that makes him so badass. Now, it's time to list some must-read stories. First of all, let's get this one out of the way, Flashpoint. Now, while Reverse Flash is an antagonist and a villain in the story, he's not a core part of the plot. However, it is incredibly important that you must read this in order to understand why he's missing in the New 52. We also have the Button story during Flash Rebirth, which is a story you have to read, not just because it's badass and kick-ass. You have to read it in order to understand the on and ons of DC Rebirth with the Watchmen and Dr. Manhattan. You have to read this, it's amazing, I shit you not. We also have Rogue War, Flash Rebirth 1 through 5, Flash numbered 197 through 200, which introduces Zoom. We have New 52 Flash Volume 4, which introduces the Reverse Flash of that timeline, as well as Volume number 8, which introduces Professor Zoom, Eobard Thawne, but for some reason he's not called Reverse Flash, he's called Eobard Thawne. It's weird. It's really weird. New 52 was a mess. Just read Batman. New 52, but don't really read anything else. It's really confusing. It's not worth your time. Trust me on that. And there's also a few good stories. But I'm going off on a tangent. Let's just finish this. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Brief History. I really enjoyed it because Reverse Flash is one of my favorite villains in the DC universe. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop me a like as your contribution helps the channel grow. And if you want to stick around, go ahead and subscribe. I'm the Amazing What's-His-Face, and I'll see you guys later.